everyone, welcome to BISP Solutions. I am Preeti, working as Oracle Fusion Functional Consultant. So we started with implementation of Fusion project for Aeronet Group. So this was the requirement document. This is the business detail of this Aeronet Group, the services that are provided by the Aeronet Group. These are the projects and these are the location where this Aeronet Group have their legal registrations, and these are the countries from where they are operating their business. And this is the enterprise structure designed for the Aeronet Group. So we completed with the configuration. We configured the primary ledger, and this primary ledger consists of 4 C's. That is, we enable the currencies in which they are dealing, and we created the calendars, we created the chart of accounts. Also we have selected the accounting method. And you can see here the enterprise structure that we have created for the Aeronet Group as per their requirement. So in yesterday's session we have seen how to create the primary ledger, and here you can see that we have created the chart of accounts as per the requirement. And in today's video we will discuss how to create the primary ledger and how to set the specify ledger options. For that we have to move to our application. Let's log in with the user that we have created. Go to setup and maintenance. So yesterday we have seen some issue while deploying the flex field. You have to select the setup area as financials, and under the functional area you have to select financial reporting structure, and then go to manage chart of account structure instance. Here search for the module general ledger, click on search, and you can see the deployment status as deployed. And yesterday when we were trying to deploy this flex field, it was throwing some error, as when we run this process it works on the application level, so there must be some issue in chart of accounts. Therefore it was throwing some error, and now this is deployed. So we will continue with next task. So for that, go to general ledger, and in yesterday's session we have created the primary ledgers for India and USA. Let's search for it. So these are the primary ledgers that we have created in our yesterday's session. Right now you can see the status as incomplete. Now our next task, we have to give the retained earning account in the specify ledger options. For that, here you have to select this task, and under the scope you have to select your primary ledger. Select A and India PL, and then click on apply and go to task. You can see the general information here, that is name, description, currency that we have selected for this primary ledger, the chart of accounts that we have selected for this primary ledger, and this is the information of calendar that we have selected, and this is the first open period. If you want to change the first open period, you can select the period from this list, and how many future enterable periods you need you can mention here. I am taking it as 1. Here you have to select your accounting method. and here you have to select journal language. So let's take it as English. Search for English language. Now here you have to give the retained earning account distribution. For that, click on this search. Now select the company here. So we are configuring it for Indian company. Then select the account here. Select this account, that is for retained earnings. Click on OK. And let's take none in other segments. In the intercompany, take India, and I am taking none in other segment values. And then click on OK. After creating the primary ledger, it is must that in the specify ledger options you have to give the retained earning account distribution. Also you can give the cumulative translation adjustment account, but this is not a mandatory step. When you scroll down, you can see here whether you want to enable suspense for general ledger, subledger accounting, and if you are enabling it, then you can provide the suspense account here. And if you want to enable your journal for approval, whenever you are passing the journal and you need the approval for it, then you have to enable this checkbox. Also here you can give the rounding account. And if you want to enable this primary ledger for the intercompany transaction, you have to enable this checkbox. So we have one company in US also, so I am enabling this checkbox here. If you will not enable this checkbox, then system will not allow you to pass the intercompany transactions. So we have configure the specify ledger option. Now we can click on save and close. So we have created two primary ledgers, one is for India and another one is for US, and now I have configured the ledger options for the Indian PL and I have to do same for the US PL. For that you have to select in scope your US ledger, click here and select and add, and now search for your US ledger. Select this ledger and then click on save and close. Again you have to select the first open period, so I am taking it as April 22. Here we have to select the accounting method, and this is the general information that we have already selected while creating the primary ledger. And here you have to select the journal language. Let's take it as American English. Again here you have to provide the retained earning account. So we are specifying the ledger option for the US company. So let's take US company in company segment value. Also in the intercompany we have to select US company. Now scroll down and provide the rounding off account here. Select the company as US and select the account for rounding off. Enable this primary ledger for the intercompany transaction. Now click on save and close. Go to primary ledger and search for the primary ledger that you have created. You can see here the status in process here, and for activating this primary ledger we have to submit the review and submit accounting configuration. You can see here system has generated the balance cubes for these ledgers, and now our next step is that we have to submit this for review and submit account configuration. Once this process is succeeded, then the status of our primary ledgers will be active. Now click on review and submit accounting configuration. Let's select Indian PL here. Click on submit. Do it for the US primary ledger as well. Go to schedule processes. For that you have to click on navigator. Under navigator you have to go to tools and then click on schedule processes. Here you can check the status of the process that you have submitted. So you can see here the complete accounting configuration, that is load chart of account values, create balance cube, is succeeded, and we have seen that system has generated the balance cubes, and right now it is loading the chart of accounts values. Once the process will be completed, the status of the primary ledger will change from in process to active. So let's wait for this process to complete. Refresh this page. Click on setup and maintenance here. So this process is completed. Now check whether our primary ledgers got activated or not. For that, go to General Ledger, go to Manage Primary Ledgers and search for the primary ledgers we created. So here you can see the status confirmed, and now you can provide the data access for these primary ledgers to the user. Now we have completed the creation of primary ledger. We successfully created the chart of accounts, then we created the calendars, then we enabled the currencies, that is INR and USD, then we have selected the standard accrual accounting method, and with all these 4 C's we have created the primary ledger, and right now our primary ledger status is confirmed. Our next step is that we have to create one user for India and one user for US, and we will provide the general ledger roles to those users, and then we have to provide the data access for these primary ledgers at the primary ledger level. You can see here on my screen that these are the steps that you have to follow. You have to create 2 new users, that is Mansi and John. Mansi will have access to Indian primary ledger and John will have access to US primary ledger. And then we have to provide general ledger roles, that is general accounting manager, general accountant, financial analyst. So let me explain you why we provide these roles. So when you provide the general accounting manager, it allows the user to manage the general accounting function of an enterprise, including general ledger, subsidiary ledger and cost accounting. And when we provide the general accountant role to the user, it allows him to record and report financial transactions and manage revenue, expense, asset, liability and equity accounts. General accountant is responsible for recording accounting adjustments, accruals, allocations, currency revaluations and translations. And when we provide the financial analyst role to the user, then that user can analyze the financial performance of an enterprise or an organization within an enterprise. After providing these roles, we have to provide data access to this user at primary ledger level to both the users. If we are creating Mansi user for Indian PL, then we will provide the data access to this Mansi user at Indian primary ledger. And if we are creating the user John for US primary ledger, then we have to give the access of this primary ledger at US level to John so that he can work for the general ledger of US. Now we will move to our application and we will create these users. For creating the new users, you have to go to the tools, and from tools you have to go to the security console. For that you have to click on this navigator. Then go to the tools. Under the tools you will find the tab that is security console. From here you can create new users. click on users tab here and click on add user account. Now add role. So we have to provide 3 rows which are related to general ledger, general accountant, and select here the role which starts with the code ORA. Click on add role membership. Then you have to provide general accounting manager, and then provide financial analyst, then click on done. So we have created the user Mansi, and then we provided 3 roles which are related to general ledger accounting, and now we have to click on done. Click on save and close. Again click on add user account, and now we have to create one user which can create the transaction for the US ledger. Add role, general accountant, general accounting manager, last is financial analyst, and then click on done. So we have created 2 users, that is Mansi and John. Now our next step is we have to provide the data access to this user at primary ledger level. For providing the data access, go to the setup and maintenance. Search here for the task that is manage data access for user. So this is the task, manage data access for user. This is a mandatory step. If you will not provide the data access to this user at primary ledger level, then these user will not be allowed to work for those primary ledgers. Click on add icon, and here select the user name. Provide the data access at all 3 roles. In the security context, select data access set. So we are providing the data access to Mansi for Indian primary ledger. click on save and close. So we have provided the data access to Mansi for general ledger rows at Indian primary ledger, and now our next step is that we have to provide the general ledger rows data access to US primary ledger. Click on add icon and select the username John. To John we will provide the data access for US ledger. Now click on done, and our next step is that after creating the user and providing the roles to that user and providing the data access to that user, we have to run the LDEP job so that the roles and the responsibilities can be synced with that user. For that you have to go to the navigator, and from scheduled processes you have to run the LDEP job. Go to the tools and then click on scheduled processes. Click on schedule new process. Search for LDEP job. Click on this retrieve latest LDEP changes. And here you can read the description. It synchronizes the user's roles, role grants with definitions in LDAP. Click on OK and then click on submit. Let's try to log in with one of the users that we have created. So this is the user that we have created, and we provided the data access to this user at Indian primary ledger, and now you can see this user can only create the transaction using the general accounting ledger. Now these are the transactions or work that this user can do. Now first we have to create the first period for accounting purpose. For that you have to go to the period close. And you can see that general ledger never opened. Click on this. And this is the first period that we have selected in specify ledger options. Click on OK. And for opening other periods, you have to go to the actions and then select open target period. Let's take the current period, August 23, and click on open. can see September is our future enterable period and the current period is August 23. Now you can pass or you can create the journals. So let's create journals. Now how you will know this user will have access to the Indian primary ledger only? Go to general accounting and then go to period close. You can see here data access set is AN Indian primary ledger. This user can only work in Indian primary ledger. If you will provide the data access to this user at US level also, then you will be able to see the US primary ledger also. Right now we have given the data access to this user only at Indian primary ledger level. Let's create some journals. Go to the journals tab under the general accounting. Go to the task panel and then click on create journal. Give the journal batch name here. Here you have to select the accounting period. Let's take it as August 23. This is current accounting period. And here you have to select the ledger. In case this user have access to more than one ledger, then you will find other options too here, and you can select the ledger here and you can create the journal. But now this user have only access to the Indian primary ledger of the Aeronet group, so this user can only create the journal or create the transaction only for this Indian primary ledger of Aeronet group. Here you can select the accounting date. So I am taking today's date. Today is 4th August. So we are selecting today's date. In the category, let's select manual. These are other options: accrual, adjustments, allocations. So let me take it as manual. Let's select the accounting distribution here. So I am creating the journal for the office rent. Create the credit entry for this journal. save this and then click on post. So I'm creating journal for interest expenses. This is I'm creating for interest income. 5 journals just for the practice purpose. Let's create journal for project miscellaneous cost. Change the account here. Let's create the journal for interest expense now. save and then post and create another. Let's create one more journal for income. Journal for miscellaneous income. We have created some journal for practice purpose only, and now if you want to see the journals that you have created, for that you have to go to task panel and then go to manage journals, and here you can search with the journal batch name or with the accounting period. So let's search for the journals with the accounting period. So we have created journals for the August 23 period. So these are the journals that we have created. Now we will generate the trial balance report for these journals. For that, go to the navigator and then go to the tools, and under the tools you have to go to the schedule processes. Here you have to run the schedule process which is available for the trial balance report. Click on schedule new process and search for trial balance report process. You can see the process name is trial balance report. Click on it and then click on OK. You can see the description here: list period debit, period credit, beginning, ending account balances, summarized by natural account or account combination or natural account plus another segment. Click on OK. Now here you can select the data access set, then you can select the ledger currency. You can select the ledger here, currency type, balance type, and here you can select the accounting period. So we have created the journal for only August 23. So select the period here. Here you can select the amount type, whether you want period to date, balance type, and these are the other options that are available. Whether you need summarized by natural account, natural account and additional segment. So I am taking it as natural account. If this user have access to more than one primary ledger, then you will be able to see the list here. But now this user have only one primary ledger access, that is the primary ledger that we have created for Aeronet Group for India. Then this user can only create the transactions or journals into this primary ledger, and also can extract the trial balance report only for this primary ledger. Now click on submit. Refresh this page. You can see here the status is ready. Let's wait for the status to get converted into succeeded. Let's wait for a minute. So you can see the status has succeeded now. Click on it. And for generating the report, you have to click on this republish icon. Now export in HTML format. You can see here, this is the ledger, this is the currency type, the accounting period for which you have exported the trial balance. This is the amount type, this is the summarized by, and you can see the trial balance report for the journals that we have created. This is the debit amount, this is the credit amount. You can see here, this is the HDFC bank account showing the negative balance of 10,000. Then this is the cost that we have created for the project, 45,000. Miscellaneous income is there, then office rent, interest income, interest expenses, and this is how you can generate your trial balance report. So in today's session we seen how to create the primary ledger, how to set the specified ledger options, and then how to submit the review and accounting configuration so that the status of the primary ledger can be confirmed. After that only you will be able to provide the data access to any user at the primary ledger level. Then we have seen how to create the new user and provide the general ledger role so that that user can create journal or transactions for the general ledger. And then we have created some journals for practice purpose, and we have created or we have exported the trial balance report on the basis of those journals. Thank you so much for joining the session. Have a good day.